Thanks so much for joining us. Today is hosted by MeWe Fairs. There are three of us today here for Cosmic Conversations. We're here to talk about all the different things that we want a chance to talk about as practitioners, things that we do talk about as practitioners, and things that you want to know about. You might be practitioners and you're here joining us in the audience and the community today. It could be you're simply interested in these types of questions and these topics, and you want to explore and just learn more. And we're open really to wherever you are in this journey. The three of us are very interested in participating in this for similar reasons and different reasons. We'll introduce ourselves and you'll get a chance to hear from each of us about just who we are, kind of the background that we bring, and then what our interest is in participating today. There are some topics that maybe have been more live or more hot for us that we think we might talk about, and we have no idea really what we're going to talk about. We will find out together. And there might be things that you bring. If you know there are things you want us to explore, feel free to put those in the chat now, or you can bring them up after we do our introduction and get started. Just our aim is to have this be something we're doing together. And as I said earlier, if you want, you can come up on stage with us. If you want to ask questions, you can ask from your chair in the audience, and you can just ask a chat. You can ask anonymously. And we're going to have some people joining us as we go, and we just got someone else joining us right now. All right. Well, I think let's take a couple minutes or so and give people some information about who we are and our backgrounds and the kinds of things we bring to this exploration. And no specific time limit, but somewhere in that zone, 2-ish, 3-ish, whatever minutes. Do you want to, Kai or Crystal? One of you want to jump in first? Oh, great. We got more people joining us too.
I went first last time.
You all can say me. You can say you want me to go first. Like I'm open to whatever y'all want to do.
Okay. Go ahead, Lorelai.
Okay, me. Okay, sure. So I'm Lorelai Shamayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, and I call myself a body psychology coach and a matchmaker. I was originally a scientist. I'm more kind of grounded and methodical and curious in how I look at things. So it makes sense in some ways that I was a scientist, but really I'm interested in people. And I didn't start off studying people. So I went around and around and around to get my way to people. Just I ended up working in medicine and agriculture and intellectual property before I got into a startup business where I got to do all kinds of different things. And that was where I started studying with a teacher to learn my intuitive eye reading work. I learned it more as a personality assessment and had no idea that I was doing anything intuitive. So I really just very much came into this through the back door. Didn't realize at all where I was wandering. I use archetypes to read people, and I'm getting ready to teach a class on this right now. So this is very fresh for me. Thinking about all that, there are just all these archetypes, and there's like 7 of these and 6 of these, and da 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 da. And with all this stuff that I was learning, to look at a person and to attempt to figure this out, I was like, it's crazy. Like I couldn't think it through. It was just too much. And I had to learn to do like trust myself, or just what felt like it was the most right, what felt like the best fit. And I didn't realize that that was really learning to open my intuition. The other thing is that when I teach people to read, I teach people to pay attention to, I had no idea they were clairs. Like, what do you feel in your body, or what do you pick up in a feeling way? Or like, I end up being able to imagine a video of the person if I see a photo, like of the before and after in the video. I just imagine, like, who knows how I'm picking up information. Right? So I was opening my intuition and opening clairs and had no idea what I was doing. And I started studying with somatic psychotherapists. And so I got more attuned to my body and my emotions. And I did authentic relating, which helped me get more aware of my emotions and being aware of other people and reading people. It's just all the things that we do, everything we do we can bring into how we work with people as a practitioner. So I grew in an intuitive way, specifically being part of this community, the MeWe Fairs community. I had a colleague tell me how to go sort this out, went to a meetup group, had the meetup group come meet at my house, I had space, and poof, a few meetings, we've got fairs happening. And a few years later, I had online fairs. And so I feel I got connected with so many practitioners from all over. And part of the journey was that I got to hear their backstories of what they do and how they came to do those things. And I get to watch them practice with other people. There's a lot of it we do intuitive panels or other panels where we get to watch each other work. And they just get to open and open more and more. And now I have like 20 years almost of working with people. So yeah, I'm an intuitive eye reader, a body psychology reader, and I'm a matchmaker. and I love to grow and learn, and I love to do things in community, and I particularly love to grow in conversation. And so that's part of how I come to be here today. My aim is to learn and explore and bring my insight and have fun wandering in whatever direction we go in the conversation with all of us together. Crystal and Kai are totally two of my teachers. I learn from them all the time, and as we all get to deepen, I bring up wild, crazy topics for them to explore too. So just all exploring together. So yeah, that's about me, and I'll put my information in the chat again too. I guess maybe for the video, you can find out more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com. You can find out about the archetypes that I use to read people at thrivetypes.com. And you can find out about all the events we're running through MeWe Fairs at MeWeFairs.com. All right, who wants to go next?
What's me?
What'd you say
Um,
was you? Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Uh, just to piggyback on what you just said, to me, everybody's a teacher. I learn stuff from everybody all the time. So I feel like we're all teaching each other all the time. Sometimes it's what not to do. Sometimes it's I really want to know how you do that. And oh, that's an interesting thing. I had heard that perspective before. So just to remain open, so that I can continue to grow. Um, I always say that like I want to show up as the best version of myself today. Um, so that's my personal goal. Um, my name is Crystal Novak. I'm a psychic reader, conscious channel, and also do energy work. And I've been doing this work for over 40 years. Probably one of the, take two. When I was a kid, um, I knew stuff and I didn't know that nobody else had that, or if they did, they didn't talk about it. And so, um, and when I would say stuff, people would be like shocked. We have a fellow practitioner who calls it brain shock. And I wasn't trying to do that. I was just sharing this information. So realizing that that was not encouraging people to be friends with me, I stopped doing it. But I did keep my awareness up, doing to try and stay safe at home because my home life was not something anybody wants to experience. So as I got older, started getting more and more information, took some different training and classes. And then when I was about 30, I met somebody at a training seminar and they talked about a woman who was a channel and she was open to having new people come and join this meditation study group. So I thought that sounds cool. I want to go do that. And so I did, and I stayed for 35 years because that's how long the woman, her name was Ruth, channeled this ascended master named Kutumi, was for 35 years. And we met once a week, and she would let him come through, and he talked about all different kinds of stuff. We learned about our chakras. We learned about the tree of life from the Kabbalah. We learned about energy, about the 7 principles that govern how energy is utilized, working with our aspects of our consciousness, how to recognize and clear false beliefs. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff, but it was very insightful and opened the door for me in a lot of different ways. Gave me more tools to do my own shadow work. It also introduced me to other masters and guides as well, and angels. And just it continues to enhance my abilities. So here I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Crystal. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I was expecting a little more there. Okay, anyway. So I sorry. I'm Kai. I am like I said, I'm a Hawaiian kahuna. I have been doing this type of work since, well, the funny thing, it wasn't actually work when I was growing up. It was just part of who I was. I could always see things, which my mom knew from the time I was an infant, if you guys haven't heard the story. So technically I've been a part of this world experiences pretty much from day one. So there's not a lot I haven't seen, a lot I have not experienced, done, heard about. But that doesn't mean that there's a lot of things that I don't know about. I mean, because sometimes Crystal will mention something off the cuff and I'll be like, what? What is that about? Like, tell me about that. And then that gives me an opportunity to explore it, look at it, check it out, look at it. You know, my primary thing is working with energy. It really is. I mean, like I'm an energy healer. I can look at energy in the past, in the present, in the future, in different dimensions. I have played in the universe, really. And I like that. That's fun for me. And so when someone tells me something about some energy thing that they're working on, I'm like, oh, let me check that out. What is that? Because I like to learn things and I like to share what I know. So for instance, there was another healer who works with the Akashic records. She works in the Akashic library and she did not know that you could actually burn soul contracts. And when I told her this, she said, what? And I said, yeah, you can. If you know what you're doing and if they will allow you to do it, it's something that can be done. And she's like, I never knew that. I said, yeah, and you can rewrite them too. And she's like, what? And so it's all this type of stuff that somebody might know, but somebody else may not realize.
Mhm.
This is the kind of stuff that we need to talk about so that we can help our clients with different things. Because you might have a person who comes to you and says, you know, I keep having problems with my financial stuff. And I'm like, well, if you burn a soul contract, that would take care of that. But they don't realize that they can. Most people go, yep, we have a soul contract on that, and that's it. You know, that's like when you go to Jiffy Lube and they look at your windshield wipers and go, yep, you got them. Not that you need to change them, but yep, they're there. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. So we have more knowledge about different things, like separate little things that, like, oh my gosh, if I had known that, that would have changed everything.
Mhm.
And all of us, whether we know it or not, have these little tips and tricks and things that can help someone else. So even if you're brand new to the game, you know, versus me who's been in it forever, like I learn stuff every day. So as long as you are willing to share what you know and keep learning so that you can keep passing knowledge on, like we can continue to teach each other stuff, help our clients in an even deeper way. Oh my gosh, the changes we could make. So that's
Yep.
really what I'm about. Like I said, I like to play with energy. I'm an author, mentor, speaker. I just posted my latest book on the chat. Um, and I specialize in removing negative energy from people, places, and things. Because I can see them, I can remove them, and it brings me great satisfaction that once I clear someone's house, that their kids sleep and their pets get better and people don't feel like they're being watched. And I also have the ability to see when I look at other healers and practitioners, like who's the real deal and who's just kind of skating along.
Mhm.
So which is both blessing and curse because some of these people are very, very nice and they have really good intentions, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm always willing to help if I can, regardless of whatever's happening. And I always want to look at things from a positive perspective as much as I can. And so I'm hoping that in having these conversations like this, that we can talk about even the hard stuff, like the issues that we're like, well, I can't figure this out kind of stuff,
Mhm.
that we can like work our way through it and go like, okay, well, yeah, that sucks, but here's your options. Like if nothing else, let's look at options. Let's look at what we can do. How do we grow? How do we change? How do we kind of change the energy, transform the energy of something to make it better? And that's what I'm hoping to do with these conversations. So thank you for showing up today, even though it's not like a big, huge crowd, but you know what? That's okay because
That's all right.
whoever's supposed to be here is supposed to be here. Ask your questions, make your comments, whatever it is that you want to say. This is your open forum. Anything goes, go for it.
Yeah, just keep in mind it's recorded, it's gonna get posted on YouTube, and then yeah, you can ask things anonymously too if you want.
Yeah.
And Kai, you're getting appreciation in the chat. Nick, Crystal, you didn't share as much maybe as Kai and me. Did you want to share anything else about like why you're here or just
Sure.
anything else about your background or yeah?
Um, I know stuff. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it. Because people talk about, well, I work in this dimension, I work in that dimension, and I go out to here and I come from there, and it's like, but that's all source. I mean, it's all coming from the divine. So when I sit down and work with somebody, either they ask me a question, if they don't, then I look to see what's the most pertinent thing they need to know here now in the moment. It's coming from source, and that can show up in a variety of different ways. It can show up as your higher self, your angelic team, guides, masters, passed on loved ones, ancestors, the Easter Bunny. I mean, it shows up however it shows up. And so when I was first developing all this stuff, I didn't get lost about, well, I can't go to the Akashic Records because I have to say things and do prayers a certain way. It didn't occur to me that I was supposed to do that. So I just went there and found stuff and did stuff and came back and um passed on loved ones. It's like I said, okay, let me find out. And sure enough, there was a passed on loved one, so I could talk to him. It didn't occur to me that that means I'm a medium. Okay, but whatever. So it's it's hard to put labels on everything. So I usually don't, and that's my fallback is just to say I know stuff. Um, I work with anything that you've got. I've been through a fair amount of shadow stuff, and so I find that I'm a good mentor, guide for helping people that are working through deeper issues. Um, I find that I also tend to be a witness, that I will sit with you and I will see you for who you are, and I will not try and diminish or take away from whatever you're experiencing or tell you it's not happening or anything. I will sit there and validate who you are. Um, and I also offer mentoring and coaching as well. Um, yeah. So, and as I've said before to other people, I'm super curious. I want to learn stuff. I want to know stuff. I say that I'm terminally curious. Um, it never stops because there's always something new to learn and something new to explore. Um, and that just deepens my knowledge and my experience and allows me to what's that expression? When you know how to do better, you do better. So um, yeah, that's what I got.
Great. Well, maybe let's say a little bit too of um, just the very beginnings of having cosmic conversations together. I know that we said a little bit already. We said a bunch already about why we're doing this, but I guess Crystal and Kai, what had you want to do this with me? Because MeWe Fairs offers all kinds of different events, and like
Well,
you kind of asked, you
well,
all sort of asked me for it. It evolved with the two of you. So what? Yeah,
yeah. So if you've been to the events, you see that we're pretty much all sitting at tables. And sometimes if traffic's slow or whatever, we lean over and talk to whoever our neighbor is, and get to know the other practitioners that way. And Kai and I had been seated next to each other a couple different times, and so we had a good rapport going. Um, and Kai would talk about stuff, and I would talk about stuff, and what kind of we call it shop talk, because how often do you get to sit down with other practitioners and talk about their experiences and their knowledge, the tools that they use, stuff that they've discovered and want to share, um, and found out that we both have very different skill sets, but that we kind of made this little Venn diagram of it, and we have a lot of stuff that meets in the middle. Um, so if I say something and Kai goes, "What? What is that? Tell me more." I'll be like, "Sure," and I'll tell Kai stuff, and Kyle say, "Hey, blah 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 about something else." And I go, "What?" I want to go look at that. So, um, and then the other cool part is it's like I got colleagues and compatriots, and sometimes there's a feeling of when you're a practitioner that you're kind of alone because not everybody does this, and it's usually not something that comes up at the dinner table or in casual conversation with other people. And so to have other people that practice that do this, it's their life's work. It's really supportive and heartening to be able to make those connections. So it was actually Kai's idea to create this into a panel. So go Kai.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it was just, like I said earlier, because every time I have conversations with someone and really have an opportunity to talk to them, I learn all this stuff. And at the same time, I can go, listen to whatever their issue is, and I go, oh, why don't you try this? And they go, huh? Never even thought about that. And I said, well, yeah, try it. Let me see. Yeah, and tell me how it goes. And then they usually come back and go, oh my gosh, I did this with a client. I did that for myself. I did that for my son or my husband or whatever. And like the energy changed and da 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 da. And I never even thought about it. And I thought almost every time that Crystal and I have these conversations while we're just sitting at the fair, thinking around, doing nothing, um, both of us have been allowed to explore lots of different things in different ways. Like when Crystal was yakking at me about the monad, never heard of that. Don't know what it is. Still working on it. Found all these really cool things having to do with it. I was like, holy mackerel. I mean, that opened up a whole different level of energy work for me personally that I never knew anything about until she mentioned it. And it was kind of like, oh yeah, like the monad. I'm like, the what? It was like this thing that was like, oh yeah, well, you've heard about the monad, haven't you? I'm like, no, I have no idea what that is. And from there, like it just like it blew up energy wise because I was able to do all this other energy work on myself that I didn't even know was there to be worked on. So if I can have that experience with other people through these conversations or trigger that in someone else, I look at it like I've done my job. Because part of my job as a mentor, as a speaker, as a teacher is to open the doors. Now, whether or not someone actually walks through the door, that's on them, but at least the door is open. And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation and I wanted to have it in a public forum so that people can say, okay, there's a door. Am I willing to walk through it? And when you're ready, you go and you see what's on the other side. That's to your benefit. That's all we're trying to do is just open doors.
I wanted to mention a sprinkling of a few things from all that. So, one is if I'm doing my job, the fairs are really busy. So, they happen to be really busy last time in Linwood last week. So, we didn't have as much time to talk to each other.
True.
Right? That's good. And then, no, it's good we're here. And other times we great to connect to each other. And then, like the example of Monad. So, you all had no idea that I've heard of Monad like almost 20 years ago. And I had no idea that you knew anything about it. We talked about this a little bit in the last Chasmic Conversations. And like, so I'm sitting here with this little bit of information, but I don't know much about it. And Crystal knows all this stuff, right? And Kai didn't know. And it's where if we don't talk to each other, we don't know. And I know from one perspective and Crystal knows from another. And although the sources go back to each other too, and like we don't even know that about each other's work. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and then I took that information and I put it into like, I brought it into my space, the way I view things, which completely changed. Like it was a completely different way of looking at it. And then when I told Crystal, she was just like, "Oh my God." So, but that's the beauty of this information is that you can take what you've learned and adapt it to how you work, how you see, what you feel, and you get a completely different angle on the same information which then contributes to the whole of how we work as practitioners.
Yeah.
That's only to our benefit.
Yeah.
I know, and I get lost like running, doing all this stuff, and I'm like, wait, but I want to learn too. So by participating, I get to learn. And we had a few more people join. So I want to say again, just to everyone that's here. So we aim for this to be a conversation. We've just been doing really introductions and talking about why we're here. So we're here to talk about what you want to talk about. There might be some topics that we want to talk about. We'll certainly bring up stuff if you don't, but we're here for your questions. So any kinds of general questions, topics that are happening in the world, just things that you've seen other practitioners do or you've wondered about, or we're here to talk about all that stuff the best we know or to look up while we're together, things like that. And we got more people coming in or coming in on other devices. And if you want to ask a personal question and get support from us, there's a way to do that. There's a link in the chat. It's sliding scale, just like at our panels. But our aim primarily is just to have conversations with you. When you want to bring up a topic, and I see some of you looking like you might want to do that, if you want, you can come up here and be on video with us. We're recording, it's going to go on YouTube. You can simply unmute and ask your question, and you can also just write in the chat. You can say you want it to be anonymous. Yeah, so just lots of options of how to bring up different topics.
Yeah, so raise
Yeah,
your hand. Let's get started.
This is informal. You can raise your hand. You literally can just unmute and start chatting with us. We're here. We're here for you. We're here for all of us. So yeah, this is great. We got a whole big group of us here. I gotta write down more names. This is fun.
Okay, so who's got a question? Anybody? Let's just start
Come
this
on.
ball rolling. I'm excited. Let's
Come
go.
on. Come on. Nobody up here bites. It's all good.
Or if we
We
do,
won't-
it's not
We won't make a
video.
face.
It's no big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go, what? No. Come on.
And crickets. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when we do the intuitive panel. Nobody wants to be first.
Although sometimes I do, right? Because I get worried I'm not going to get mine in if I'm handing the microphone off to everybody else. So someone might want to jump in right now. Is it quiet? Just want to make sure you know you all can just jump in. Yeah, I see some of you smiling. Oh goodness. Well, maybe I just could put me out as a little bit of an example, and I guess we make choices about what we talk about. So I recently met with both of you and with one of the other practitioners, and then met with one of you privately. So some of the different things that we were doing with me was looking back at agreements that I might have with other people in my life that we could shift and change, and just cleaning up energy of stuff. Like I go to tons and tons of events and around tons of different people, and so like energy I've been carrying around that's not mine, and like cleansing that stuff. So and it's like it just happens in minutes. So like for those of you that haven't participated in this or seen this, like it just happens in minutes. And I know I feel
Yeah,
kind of
so
light and
how
easy and been
since
focused the last few days, but
oh good. Well, yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like after we did all the energy work on you, it's like how are you feeling? Like how are you, because it usually takes a few days for like even though the process happens quickly, like how you process it, your energy wise, or it takes forever. So how are you feeling a few days later?
yeah, and I think I'm mostly just going about my stuff. I feel less worry, maybe, because like there's a bunch of stuff I'm trying to track and how's it all happening.
Good.
Like I might wonder sometimes I'm not as focused on it as I should be, but I'm just doing stuff. I'm getting things done, and maybe I just feel lighter and easier, and maybe a little bit more free about things. Like things kind of going by or happening. I'm like, hi, should I be thinking more about that? Oh, I guess not. Okay. So that like the best description I can have of like what's going on. I know we do have one hand up and we have one comment. Okay, great, great, great. Yeah, so we got a hand up first and then we got a question in the chat. This is great. And then the person with their hand up, I'm just keeping it anonymous for now. Do you want to come up on screen with us? That's a maybe, a yes? You got to let me know.
I can. That's
Okay,
good.
great. Great. So I'm going to bring you up. All right. Julie, tell us about, yeah, raising your hand. What do you want to ask or share or let's talk about?
There's so many questions, but thank you for doing that. I guess my question today would be, do you ever get scared of what you see, what you feel, I feel like I'm, starting to open and getting information, I guess, and then I get scared. I'm like, oh, okay, do I really want, all that? So it's kind of, so I feel like I'm not opening as much because I get scared. So how do you deal with that? And yeah, I want to hear you talk about that.
Oh gosh, probably I just want to say Kai, Crystal, we probably all of us immediately were like, oh, I got so much to say about that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to start?
Well, I think Kai, you've probably seen some of the biggest, scariest stuff, so I'll let you lead on that. I'm so
Yeah.
Well, I don't
magnanimous
want you
that
to
way.
scare me more, though.
No, 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 no. Don't want to
No,
scare you more, but just want to
no.
confirm that, yeah, all three of us have been scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, because of the fact that I can see things, right? So I have seen, I mean, I can see angels, I can see, grandmothers, guides, different, but I can also see the other side, which is I can see demons, I can see things that I don't even have names for, right? And so some of them are pretty big and they are pretty scary. And it took me a good long time, I think, from the time I was a kid to recognize that I have to continue through the fear because I know that things like that feed off of fear. And so the more fearful I am, the worse it is. So whenever something surprises me, and I mean, I'm still surprised to this day. I'm still surprised. Like I see things and I go, and then I'm like, no, you have to do something. And then I literally like engage my higher learning, my higher brain functions, intellect, and okay, what I need to do here. And then I focus on, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, like what are my options? So I still do get scared, but I give myself like literally a moment and then I go, okay, that's it. Now do something. Because if you get stuck in that moment of fear, what happens is it just gets worse.
Mhm.
So like when you're talking about like some like getting a new ability or something, you're just like, oh my gosh, what is that? Just allow yourself that moment to just kind of take it in and acknowledge it, and then realize that unless it is a dangerous situation, there's nothing to be afraid of, really. It's just new. And sometimes new can be scary, but new is not dangerous. So if you're trying to expand your abilities and you're like, oh my gosh, I can hear something, like, okay, I might be crazy, or that might be something new.
Mhm.
Like, do I want to keep that and try it again, or do I want to not have that? Because the thing with gifts is you can accept or deny. That's completely up to you. There's certain things that you don't have to keep. So if somebody could see at my level and they didn't want to, they could say, you know what, take this away from me. I don't want it. Any gift that you get that you don't want, you can say, take it back to the store. I would like a refund. You don't
You
have
say
to
it,
keep this.
and you can send it back to the store temporarily and bring it back again. Like it doesn't have to be a
Yes,
permanent decision.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it could just be like, I can't do this right now,
Mhm.
maybe later. So in essence, with all your gifts, things that are manifesting, there's nothing to be afraid of because it's basically the universe just handing you what's already yours. Okay, so there's nothing to be afraid of because it's yours. But if you do feel that fear, acknowledge it and then decide what you want to do about it. Make a decision. It's not like don't allow yourself to fall into the blind fear because that doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, feel the fear, do it anyway.
Yep.
I'm gonna say just a kind of maybe adding on to what Kai was saying. We have the opportunity to create whatever filter we want. As Kai said, you can send it back temporarily. You can even just say for yourself, Julie, if you had like, a 0 to 10 scale of fear, you could even just say, I don't want to feel anything 7 or above. Nope, 6 and under fears. I could work with that, but not now. Right. So you can do a filter like that. I had a colleague that once, when she was young, like didn't want to know about when people were dying. She just didn't want to know. So she didn't learn that. And then later in life, she had kind of the way she described it, like something knocking on the door, like trying to tell her about someone dying. And she's like, wait, I thought I had a filter about that. And there was a reason for her to know that then. Like it was really important. And so she evidently had another filter that when something's really important, even, come tap on me, don't just listen to my other filters. So we have the power to set whatever we want. So that's one way of working with this. I got more I can say, but maybe should I just take my turn now since I started?
Sure.
Um, I don't see the same kinds of things that Kai and Crystal see or aware of. So I don't feel scared in the same way. I know that I sometimes see photos of people's energy that is for me really not good energy, or I recognize it. It reminds me of something from my past that was really hard. So I might feel momentarily scared about that, or I might feel probably I haven't known to say it this way, but like I end up picking up all these negative entities in the person, and I haven't known what it is. I just can feel the negativity in them, and sometimes it's hard for me to look at someone like that. Like there's a way that I would want to get information about them, but I have to just like stop and look away. And I think what I'm doing is creating a shield. I do this subconsciously, but I'm creating a bit of a shield to be able to then look again and not let something through that I don't want to let through. But again, it's more just like I need to get some space and I need to like just be in my own energy and be ready to go turn and to look at this. And sometimes if it feels really hard, I might not want to look at it anymore. Like I got enough of what I need and I don't want to go back. So it's not necessarily that I feel scared in the moment, but I feel pain that I pick up and I have more of a no. So that'd be more like anger for me. Like I don't want that. Sometimes when I'm aware of like if I'm working with a client and they were connected to someone like that someone was in their past, it could be a family member or an ex or someone they're with now. Like I feel the pain and I feel a lot of compassion for the person that's dealing with that right now. And so my compassion for them and my care and concern about them takes priority. So just I don't feel scared. It's really the other things that I feel that are so much bigger. Um, I mean, I scare myself in other ways. Like check. I sometimes if I start to feel like confident and powerful in a way that's bigger than I know how to be with, like what if I could, I could scare myself about that stuff. Um, that I don't do that much these days. Or I mean, times I feel scared, and this is a different context in a different situation than you mean. If I'm working with a client, a new client in a private session, or it could be at a fair, and some things happen, and it's usually when the thing, whatever thing is, that I realize, oh, the person I'm interacting with in a session is maybe narcissistic. That's when I feel a moment of fear. I think like what you're talking about. But that's my version, and that's because this taps into my own history too. And I'm like, oh, so I now have a new layer of awareness of how am I interacting with this person and how do I have to take care of myself and how I know I need to take care of myself, knowing it may totally blow up and they may be really pissed at me before the interaction happens. And I'm careful in how I share things with them, knowing that this is so. And like on the one hand, I don't want to be arrogant and think like I know they are and blah blah blah. It's just a wondering and a question. But that's a time when I am careful. And I've had practitioners that have been in the community. I've had interactions and stuff come up when I realize, oh, I think they're narcissistic. And like totally some of them have gotten furious at me. And like they gotta blame me for whatever comes up that I want to talk to them about because that's how they take care of themselves. So there's a way that I might feel scared about things like that at times. Or like doing all these things on video. I totally used to feel so much more scared than I do now. And I think again, I do a little bit of a version of like what Kai was saying of like, all right, I really want to get to what's on the other side of this thing. So like, okay, I'm going there, right? Like love me. I have my hands and fists there. I'm like, all right, I'm getting through. I'm gonna go do this. So like empower myself however I need to. But is I find a place, a willingness for me to totally mess up and for it to be wacky. Like I've only realized the last couple of years that I'm autistic and I spent my whole life having to work through all these things and do these things that I felt in many ways scared about. And yeah, I just built up a lot more capacity to do it and to trust myself and to trust myself to get through and just find ways that it's okay. And to also trust that if it's not okay, then that's just not the thing for me to be doing right now. Whatever falls apart about that's okay. That's just how it is. And, there'll be other doors that open if that door's not one that's open. So I think it's really just trusting myself. And having courage and having friends and like learning to ask for help if I need help. And yeah, those are the things that are there. And I guess I'm giving advice all the time, right? What if I'm giving advice or or you say like a healing, what if I do something that ends up like I see that I could have done better or something else would be better for them? Or again, it's just I have to trust that I'm doing the best I can and just doing my work to stay open enough to notice the flow, to follow the flow and just to trust and to trust I can always do my best to make up for something or right, I can always give someone money back or I can go find someone else for them to work with and ask a colleague to do a favor. Like there's just always options.
Mhm.
All Sorry.
Yes, I've seen stuff that's thrown me off my game, but fear has a purpose when it's utilized in the way it's supposed to serve us. It's like, don't step out in front of that car, don't pet strange dogs. Don't buy sushi from the gas station. I mean, just paying just paying attention to fear is okay. It's when we let it run and take over. That's when it can make things a lot worse than it actually is. A lot of what you have to do if you want to step more into your abilities is you have to learn how to calm your mind and keep your mind from trying to run the show. Um, I like to say that the shovel thinks it's the gardener. That's the mind. The mind thinks it's everything, and it's not, but it'll try to tell you that it is. Yeah. Um, and also, if you got a new awareness coming on, a new gift or a talent coming on, yeah, it might freak you out. It's like, what did I just see? Or what did I just hear? Or I just walked in this room and all of a sudden something feels really icky. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it or I can hear it. Um, Talking to somebody and all of a sudden energy, information, boom, right in your head. And it's like, oh, great. What am I supposed to do with that? So a lot of it's practice, one step at a time. I mean, if you get a new talent, you don't have to embrace it all at once. You can say, okay, I hear you. I want to do this in little bitty increments. And that's totally fine. And the universe gets that. They don't want you to get so overwhelmed that you're not functional. That defeats the whole purpose of sharing a new gift with you. Um, I think part of what we forget is the people that are doing this are actually the people that are in touch with what reality is, instead of all the people that deny all the stuff that is happening around them and won't entertain another way of looking at things or being. They think that if they can't touch it, then or see it or whatever, then it doesn't exist. Well, this physical body, everybody, it's limited. It doesn't have stuff that it can do. And that's part of us as spirits stepping into a human experience is realizing we are not this vehicle. We're not. We're divine energy coming here to have a human experience. And I think when we start coming into our gifts like this, it's rekindling that relationship with the divine and beginning to remember ourselves as who we actually are instead of what we've been told we are. And if any of you are continuing on this path and continue on this path for the rest of your life, it's important to recognize that your gifts and abilities are functional, but if you do your internal work, they'll be off the charts because you'll be clear and you'll be owning who you are instead of being worried about stuff or worried about if you're good enough or can I do this or what's other people going to think. I mean, we spend way too much time worrying about what other people think. It's a waste of time. We have no control over anything but ourselves. That's it. End of story. So yeah, in the course of pursuing this, yes, I've seen stuff. I've also seen really cool stuff. So don't forget that part. See some really cool stuff, especially when you're working with someone and there's a shift and you watch that penny drop and they go, oh, and then they get it. That mwah, chef's kiss to that. I love that part of doing this. Because now their whole reality is going to shift. When you can shift a perception, you can shift your reality. That's the way it's wired. That's the way it's set up. So that's the part of me that's makes it so much fun to do this, is to watch other people get it and then be excited about their life again and that they found a path or a way through or whatever. So again, you don't have to put on a giant practitioner hat and run around and say, you can just set it aside and eat that elephant one bite at a time. You can even say, I'm willing to be willing if you can't do it all at once.
You say,
Yeah,
or
great
kiss that
question.
elephant all over one kiss at a time.
Okay, that's all right.
I was like, yeah. So this is interesting.
Okay,
I just want to say, Kai, Crystal, and myself, all of us both have the talent that, in the way I read people's eyes, love to learn. And we also all have the talent that are much like tougher and persevering when things are hard. So it's interesting that it's the three of us together. They're just answering this question and just talking about all these things. Okay, go ahead, Kai.
no, I was gonna say like we should take the question that's in the chat next because I think
All
that's a
right.
really interesting question that's there. So
I just wanted to say, Julie, is there anything else you want to say about the question that we asked and the answers?
No, I love it. There's a lot of nuggets in every one of your answers. So and you took it at different angles. So I love it. How yeah, I have to lot to ponder on. Thank you so much.
Great.
Great. You're very welcome. All right. Yeah, we've got a general question in the chat, and then we also have someone that wants to ask a personal question. So, all right, let's see the general question in the chat. Um, yeah, so this is let's see. So it's what are you all picking up from the room in terms of energy? Are you picking up anything specific? And the person that asked that, if you want that to be anonymous, just let me know. Let us know in the chat. Or yeah, you're fine. And if you want to come up on screen and say something about that, that might be great. Like maybe you're picking up something and you want to know if we're picking up the same things.
yeah, it's like you
So
want some validation or
yeah, so it's up to you if you want to come on screen. Let me go look for you and see. Do you want to come up? I can see your video now. Sorry, I can't hear you though. Is that yes, you want to come up? Just nod your head if you want to come up. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to bring you up. Okay, now let's make sure we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead, say something.
Say,
Oh, there you go.
can you
Okay,
hear
great.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I didn't necessarily need to be on screen, but I was trying to say I didn't need to be anonymous either. It didn't matter being anonymous. I was just very curious about it, what you all were picking up, because I noticed in everybody's conversation, you have these very amazing and unique gifts, but many of you can actually see or pick up the energy. Somebody's reading eyes, somebody's seeing things, other people are just psychic, and I think it's pretty nice. And I just wondered with the group that you have, one of the comments you made, Lorelei, was in the very beginning, you said, it's not a very big crowd, but the right people are here. Like, whoever needs the information, they're here, right? And so I just wonder, what do you pick up from the folks that are here today? And I'm not actually trying to pick up anything, so I'm not picking up anything, but I'm just curious your thoughts.
I feel an overwhelming, I mean, there's lots of little things, but there's an overlying theme, and it feels like everybody here is about knowledge. Um, there's a desire to have knowledge and to be able to apply knowledge, which is also searching for wisdom at the same time. I have a sense of different people in the audience. I can feel their energy, some more than others. Now I feel like, oh no.
yeah, everybody's like drawing back, like
Not me. It must be that person over there. No, don't look over here. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I want
Thank
to
you.
tell everybody here that us practitioners, we are not interested in your metaphysical sock drawer. We have no desire to go rifling through your stuff. We don't want to do that. A, it's unethical, and B, it's like, no, I have enough of my own hot mess over here to look at, let alone wanting to go dig around and see what yours is. No, 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 no. So that's just to let y'all know in the audience that even though we're picking up on stuff, we're not going to go like, that was juicy. I think I'm going to dive over there to that little person and see what's going on. No, no, no. And for those in the back, no, not going to happen. So, yeah. All right, Kai.
Thank you.
yeah. So for me, what I'm picking up is just everybody's willingness to participate, be a part of the community, and it feels like there's lots and lots of questions, but people are just like, I don't even know how to form this question, or I don't even know how to say what I mean. And for that, I just say, you know what? Roll it however it comes off, however it comes off your brain, and we'll figure it out. Because that's what the conversation is for. Like, you don't necessarily have to have a fully formed thing. Just say, okay, this is the kind of thing that I'm looking at. This is what I feel. This is what I'm sensing. This is what I'm just like, what is this? And then we can actually help you give it a shape and actually answer what the core of the question is. So don't be afraid to do that. That's what this is for. So that's what I'm getting. I'm just like, I mean, yeah, I feel like some people are just like, yeah, don't read me, don't read me, don't read, that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, this is safe space. Like, you have nothing to fear here. Like, no one here is gonna judge you. At least I'm not, because I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in, what do you know and what do you want to know? That's what I care about. That's why I'm doing this. So, anything else, whatever other issues you have, they are yours and you can keep them. So really, that's what I'm picking up. It's just like, let's just get to work and figure out what it is that we need. And, hopefully by the end of this thing, that everybody will have gotten something that they can, like, oh, that was interesting. Let me think about that. Let me see what I can do with that. That's really what we're doing. At least that's what I hope that we achieve with these things, that people go, oh my God, I never thought about that. How does that work for me? So please ask your questions, even if they're not formed. They don't need to be. Just throw them in the chat.
Yeah, you don't have to show up perfect. You ought to hear some of the stuff that we say when nobody else is around. It's like, no, so don't worry about it.
Right. I want to say, as I look around at people, and some names I recognize, so I know some people are practitioners, and I feel grateful to have other practitioners participating in the conversation. Some of them are newer to practicing, some of them are newer in the community. And then, yeah, so that's one theme of people that are here. And we seem to be more like introverted or mid-range. There aren't a lot of people that are super extroverted that are here. And I also feel just some energy that's very practical, that wants like to make use of stuff, like learn to do it, not people that just want to learn. Yeah, that's a little bit of what I pick up. But I think maybe we all have something to do with people and like connecting with people. Yeah. But and the room did get more quiet. Like when we did that, like more explicitly of like what do we feel in the room? Like it's been pretty quiet, but one of my communities used to talk about, when you walk in a room and like it's almost like the air feels dry, like everyone is quiet, like everyone's not breathing. And so we went to a little bit of that, everyone not breathing, when we first were like, okay, what do we feel? It's a little like that. Yeah. Any other question, Cheryl, about like what we pick up in the room?
No, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, thank you. I'm not trying to pick up anything, but when I look at faces, I just see amazing people who are really just trying to do their part here. We're all a piece of a larger puzzle, and just feels like everybody wants to figure out their piece and do it. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Great. I appreciate your describing how you feel and see the room. Great. All right, let's
Thank
see.
you.
So, all right, now
I
let
think
me
Maggie
just
was next.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So that person is next, and then oh yeah, okay, great, yeah. So we have your hand up, okay, and then iPad. I know you've got a question too. So Maggie, did you want to come up here?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, great. So Maggie, you want to ask a personal question? So yeah, what do you want to ask? How can we support you?
Yeah. This is cool how this came about because I just spotted it yesterday and I was like, just so very happy to be here. But my question is, I feel like lately I've been just getting like massive messages in dreams and like just getting screamed at in my dreams of like, I feel like every night is something that's just like explicit, but the next day it's this whole game of how well do I capture and understand and act on that. And I think that's kind of where like just the fact that even this is happening today, I'm like, oh, I have an opportunity to ask for help with what what am I getting? What do I do with it? Yeah. So even just what you picked up already before, I was like, yep, that's what I was wondering. Yes, that's what I was wondering. So, yeah, that's kind of my question. I'm
And
like,
you're
even nights, like,
and
why was
are
there a
you
horse and a baby horse falling?
are you a practitioner? Are you just been opening yourself, and so this is coming in as part of
Yeah,
opening
just,
you?
yeah, I think I'm just, I don't know. I think I'm new to this whole world, but not at all, like I feel like it's all there, but it's just a question of taking in what I'm understanding without it being like overwhelming or flood.
Great, great. And sorry, what did you say about last night? You said something about a horse,
Like,
a baby and a
last
horse,
night's was
or
like, there was like part of it, there were horses like falling from the sky and a baby horse, but it was like, gentle, like she collected her baby horse and they floated slowly. But each dream over the last just however many nights has been so vivid and so like where I feel like I need to process it and like I feel like I'm being talked to or told something and then within that day, if I don't assimilate it well, it's like, am I losing what these messages? I don't know.
it's great. This is related a little bit to the question that we just had from did I write this down from Julie a little bit of like scaring yourself, right?
Or
Like,
just not missed opportunities, I guess is kind of what I'm feeling like.
mhm.
Yeah.
And I guess I link it because so Julie was talking about like seeing something where she might feel scared and not wanting to see something where she might feel scared, go deeper and scaring herself. And to me, I use the language of scaring myself or scaring yourself in that like when stuff comes up, if we're able to just flow and like ride the waves literally, like we don't have to get caught in fear. And so like a trusting that you're taking in and you're integrating whatever you want to need and whatever you get consciously, and then the ton of you get subconsciously that you don't know. And trusting that all that might go through and get in, right? Because I'm not worried
Yeah,
about it.
go,
Yeah, go ahead,
Crystal.
Crystal.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi.
Feels like you're getting massive downloads. And what they're saying is, if you listen when you're awake, we wouldn't have to do it at night when you want to sleep. So they're wanting to develop that rapport with you where you understand the quote unquote language of how spirit speaks to you so that you can get this information. And you're not exactly holding still and letting it come through. So you're getting it at night and a lot. But I also see that it's interesting that they used horses. I see you almost like having reins around yourself and pulling yourself back. Like it's really unnerving you to actually step into this and allow it to be a thing that is a part of you. And I think all of us has gone through that. It's like, well, what happens now? I mean, it's, I'm goofy enough as it is. What do I want to add this to the plate for? Yeah. And it's like over the years, they're like, really? Can you make me any weirder? Come on,
I'm
man.
trying to rein it in here.
Okay, fine. So yeah, that's my take on it. So
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I'm getting is it's similar to what Crystal said, but I also got the message that yeah, it's a lot of stuff that you've been visualizing, but at the same time you're working on a lot of stuff as well. So because whatever we can't deal with when we're conscious, like we deal with when we're unconscious. So even though your conscious mind is going, oh my gosh, these all these images, there's all this stuff, like what do I do with all this stuff? And but your brain, your soul, your spirit is like, okay, check, got that, check. So it's not like you're not doing anything. It's far from the truth. Like you're processing way more than you realize that you are. It's just all on an unconscious level. So even though your conscious mind is going, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff, but really, it's not. Like most of the stuff that you've were supposed to get in the dream, you've already done. So you actually haven't lost anything.
You can't
It's just
lose.
like the part that you've got that's conscious, that's the part that you need, that your brain needs to work through. And that's it. But the rest of it, you've already done it. You've already done the work. You got the homework, you got the notes, all of that. So you've lost nothing.
Okay.
And sometimes we run it too much through our head instead of
Mhm.
just accepting that it is what it is and it doesn't need any greater explanation, or it will continue to unfold over time. The mind really wants everything to be nice and tidy and in a box so that, because the mind feels out of control. That's the difference. We don't feel out of control. The mind feels out of control. And so it just revs everything up with its agitation. And then we start on the squirrel cage and yeah. So it all comes down to trusting yourself.
I feel like it's like FOMO or something, where I'm like, oh, I got
No,
something. Like, am I?
no, they'll bring it by again if you need to learn something. They'll bring it by again, and it'll show up. It's really interesting because if you need to learn it again and you thought you learned it the first time, it shows up again, and it
Yeah.
might have a different version of itself, but you'll be like, oh, I know what this is. Damn it, I thought I got rid of that. Nope, surprise.
Or even just if I'm being like, I almost feel like there's an action to follow, and am I following it? I guess that's kind of my like, if there's a worry, it's like, okay, that was powerful. Like, what do I do? Like, how do
Well,
I do my
I have
homework
some
from
ideas.
that?
Go.
Your external reality will tell you because we're connected 24/7 to the divine, to everything. So if things are getting lumpy and bumpy, then it's like, okay, I need to check this out. If things are pretty smooth, then
Mhm.
you're integrating it in and it's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have some specific ideas about that using this dream as an example. So in your eyes, I see you as having the love talent and the knowledge talent as your 1 and 2. Love is about wanting to see, honor, and love all life. So it cares about people, animals, nature. And then knowledge talent wants to learn and understand, absorb information, share wisdom. So it's interesting that it was horses. Horses feel emotions deeply. And it sounds like there were many horses, and there was at least one baby horse. And I'm guessing that in your dream, if you think about your dream now, like there's a way that you felt scared. You
Mhm.
weren't just experiencing it, but like, oh no, are they going to be okay? Or oh no, why are they all coming? Or why are they falling? Or like, so you're in fear. And what you discovered in your dream is that they're all okay. They took
Mhm.
care of themselves, right?
Mhm.
The baby was fine. So like they have what they need. You don't have to worry about them. And chances are in your life, there are many other creatures or people that you worry about. And so some of the messages, like, you don't have to worry about them. Like, everyone's going to be okay. You almost seem like you could be a teacher or something like that, where you work with lots of kids. I don't know what you do for work. I do work.
I have 3 kids, and so I work with them a lot, but um, and then I run a real estate related business, and I'm going to school for homeopathy. So,
Okay. Yeah, so lots of different things. And I was going to say, if you were interested in doing something in more the intuitive realm, like just for example, you might naturally be an animal reader, because I think that you pay a lot of attention in subtle ways to people, and it can work with patients or like your kids, or so you're some of it you pick up intuitively, and some you pick up in a concrete knowledge way where you're paying attention to details. So I think you pick up a lot, and probably when you trust yourself about that, it goes better,
mhm.
right? And so, like with the horses falling. Like I think that like the idea of horses falling, like all your attention went there and you didn't let yourself loosely attend to all the other things and the context, maybe.
Mhm.
And so that's the reminder to let yourself like be aware of the context, and then also to trust others better, to trust their resourcefulness, and that you're not responsible for so much yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you each really very much. Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're very
And
welcome.
this
Welcome.
this is going to be on MeWe YouTube. So anybody that's here that if you ask something and you want to go back and check it out again, you can just rewatch this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get it up in the next few days. Yeah. Great. Yeah, and Maggie, it's great you're doing all these things. You are very full. So I want to remind you to just self-care while you're doing all this stuff too. Big lesson of the love talent.
Busted. Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks so much for wanting to ask a question, letting us support you. All right, let's see. So then iPad, did you have a general question? Do you want to come up? Sure. Okay, great. I'm going to bring you up. All right.
Hi.
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 I'm sorry I don't have my name on there. I guess I'm bad at doing these types of things. I'm Connie.
Okay, great. Is it Connie?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll put your name on here.
All right. So Connie, what's your question?
Kind of similar to what she said, except for it's kind of in a different realm. What I've found in it is I tend to get messages and have for the last several years as far and they're very physical manifestations, like I can feel like a tightness in my chest or and I mean like tears come or things like that. And lately I felt way more connected, and so I'm like, I get these feelings and I know there's something. How do you follow that? What are your tricks and what, because it's like I'm sitting here alone on my couch going, there's nothing wrong, but something, they're trying to tell me something. And it's frustrating. I guess that's the hardest thing for me, is that it's just so frustrating to know that something's downloading and not be able to figure out where it goes. And so if you have any insights as to, as you were developing your gifts, as you were beginning this journey, which Kai, it's been so long you probably don't remember when you're developing these things, but that's my frustration right now, is that I kind of know I'm supposed to be listening to something, but I'm not able to make the connection.
Great. And I want to say, just so Kai and Crystal, this is where we're just navigating the structure of this event. So the previous person paid for a personal question, personal answers. And then Connie, you're asking a general question. So Crystal and Kai,
Yes.
we want to answer this in a general way.
A general way is fine. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great.
So in general, when you get a download and it kind of gets stuck, that just
Mhm.
means that your energy system is only allowing it to kind of hit a certain level, and then it like kind of stops right there. And so what I tell people when something like that happens is to like focus on opening all your chakras so that the information can go all the way through.
Okay.
Because what it does, it like, it's almost like when you get a download of information, it has like, okay, this piece of information is for this chakra, this piece of information is for this chakra. And so if it gets stuck, like, like if it gets stuck in your chest, which is
Yeah.
like, your throat chakra,
A lot of
that
times.
literally means that that's where it stopped. And so like the heart chakra is missing information, the solar
Mhm.
plexus, the sacral, and the root chakra did not get their packages of information.
Okay.
So if it's getting stuck here, like I would say, open the throat chakra as wide as you can. And then that allows that information to continue to make its way down to the rest of the chakras. And then from there, that information then disseminates through the rest of the body.
Okay. Might be a good time for like lion's breath. I used to teach yoga. So
Yeah. I mean, whatever technique
Yeah.
you want to use. I mean, people do different things. Like I just use just energy. Like I will blast my chakras with energy just to open them up.
Okay.
But yeah, if you use breath work, or if you use meditation, or if you use yoga, or whatever your technique is, that's what I would suggest, is like open up all your chakras and just let that information drop in.
Okay.
The heart center is actually the crossroads between the lower chakras and then the higher chakras.
Mhm.
So if you're bringing in, it's probably bigger energy than your body's used to.
Mhm.
And so it's getting stuck, like Kai just said. So yeah, you can get into a meditative place, just allow yourself to be grounded, and breathe and just gently like just continue to pull that down into your system.
Okay.
You can also talk to your chakras. Each one of our chakras has a level of sentience, and you can check in with them. You can find out if they need anything, and then you can also ask them to support you in a particular area of your life experience. So one thought might be is, after all this, you could go and get into meditative state and talk to your chakras and see if there's any issues about, start with the heart down and see if there's any issues where they're don't want to hear it, or maybe they don't know about it, or just, like a parts party, just invite them all to the table and talk to them and see if there's something else there for them that's stopping you from allowing this to come through.
One thing that occurs to me, I heard some practitioners share recently, I don't know if it was one of you or someone else, is just to do automatic writing. So if you have the sense that something's come through, just like write or sound or just whatever it is, just to have expression. So it's like furthering the flow. And then like for me, the message over and over for me is anytime I notice something's not going the way I think I want it to go, it's just to love whatever it is, love the block that's here, love the part of me that's scared, even if I don't know what it is, but just having that intention of loving and caring about that part of me, like and trusting that the way it's happening now, like is okay and is of service, and loving whatever's, because for me, that's what really gets things looser and flowing, that I have to genuinely just love how it is the best I can lean into that. If I'm doing it with a grasping attachment, to get something to open, that doesn't work. So
You're
being,
closing it down.
Yeah. So just being grateful for what I am able to perceive and pick up. And even just that I have the awareness that stuff is coming in, anything. So the gratefulness about that and loving the part of me that whatever way I'm limiting. And yeah.
Thank you.
And if you do the automatic writing, you can also ask, is this for me or is this message for somebody else?
Okay.
Because you said that you're feeling different, strong emotional reactions and stuff, and maybe they don't belong to you. Maybe, because you feel, yeah, we're supposed to stay general. Sorry. So yeah, you might just try that and
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
I think also I generally have an easier time letting anything through when it's for others. So like having an awareness that whatever's coming through is like gifts for many. Like it's not like something for you, like I'm just making this up, like that you're special or blah blah blah. But so just like allowing things through to be of service, just to flow in. Like you don't even know what's gonna happen with them or where they're gonna go, or just letting in right for all. Like yeah. Then more would show up. But I could take my own advice here because I was told recently that I'm not letting as much in as I should let in. So yeah, I need to do all these things too.
We're all learning, right?
Exactly.
Poster child for learning. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very great. You're welcome. Thanks for your question. Yeah, Crystal and Kai. Anything else we want to say about that? Like how to open to let, right? To let things come through.
Well, people that are very empathic feel stuff and also pick up on other people's energy a lot. So that's always a thing to be aware of. If you're feeling something that doesn't feel like you normally feel, then you might check that out because maybe it's not you. Maybe you're carrying somebody else's information. That's why I tend to be a big advocate about meditation and grounding and clearing your space, because then you will have a baseline for yourself. Like I normally feel X. Now, that's not to say that we don't have our little ups and downs during the day, but if something feels like what is this? I normally don't feel like this, then that's something to check. And again, if you have a baseline for yourself, then you'll know most likely it's not yours and you're picking up energy from somebody else. So
yeah, I'm kind of viewing this in as a two-part thing because I mean, like if I'm getting downloads from the universe, information or whatever, I guess that's part of my intention. I'm just like, okay, you know what? When I'm getting stuff, like I want that to be for me. If I am working with somebody and I get information, like I get a download while I'm working for that person, then I understand that it's for them. Which is different from like because I'm also an empath, and so yeah, I can pick up other people's stuff, and I've been working on making sure that I understand what's mine and what's not mine in terms of energy. So it's like there's downloads information and there's external information from other people that is I kind of see that there's a line there. So like in the case of Connie, when someone says, yeah, I'm getting downloads like directly from the universe and I can't get it through, then I'm like, okay, open up all your chakras and just let that energy flow. If it's like I keep getting stuff that I don't know what to do with it and it doesn't feel good, then I'm like, okay, that's more likely an empathic type thing. And then I'm like, okay, that's the point where you need to either learn how to shield or learn to recognize what's yours and what's not yours. And so, and then because a lot of people don't do shields, or shields are, confusing for them or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well then that's when you really focus on, like, if you're walking through the grocery store and all of a sudden you're pissed off about something and you were fine a minute ago, that means it's not yours. Acknowledge that it's not yours and walk away from that energy because it's not yours.
Well, in that case, though,
Same
it could be
thing.
that when in walking into that environment, there's something in that environment that just does not work for me, right? Or for the person that walks in the store kind of thing. So it can be feedback about the environment, but it can be the environment and that it's from another person. So it could be very
Absolutely.
relevant
And
to
I
me
mean,
or someone else.
there's like lots of times you walk in a room and you just want to turn around and walk back out because it's like it just doesn't feel good. I mean, but there are, but I mean, the reality is there are times when you have to walk into a room for whatever reason that's, it's going to be unpleasant or whatever, because like, it's not going to be it's going to be a tough conversation or whatever. And in that case, like I would say, put up a shield and just go do what you need to do, because that's the reality of it. I mean, if you can turn around and walk away, great, but there's times when you can't. So,
And if there's times when you can't, once you're complete, go cleanse yourself. Go clear your energy, cleanse yourself, make sure you're grounded. Ask your support team if you need that, if you want the extra reassurance to help them, have them help you do that. Or if you're somebody who works with people all day long, then every chance you can, scoot away for like 10 minutes and cleanse yourself, and just imagine that you're, pulling the energy down, it's cleansing you, it's taking away everything that doesn't belong to you, you're grounding it out, and it's getting rid of cords and all that kind of stuff, so that you don't go home with a whole bus full of stuff that you picked up during the day. And especially if you work in a hospital or other types of large institutions where people that have issues are there for those purposes, and they're bringing all that energy with them. So it's just a way to help keep yourself disconnected from all that. Because if you don't, it starts to build up in your body. And then it starts to build up in your body, and it starts to impact you. I mean, it's kind of like if you're a light and somebody throws some dirt on it, and then more people throw dirt on it, and by the end of the day, you can't even see that light anymore. It's buried under all that energy. So cleansing yourself as part of energy hygiene is a really valid way to help keep yourself clear as well.
So Julie has a question specifically about that in the chat. And then Mandy, you had your hand up. I don't know if you have something you want to say about this topic or ask about this topic, but I wanted you to be able to come up, or if you want to talk about something else, you can do that too. So Julie asked, how often do you shield?
All the time.
Yeah, for me, it's like I shield often. I don't shield all the time. Like when I'm at home now, I don't usually shield because my house has shields.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, like that's because of what I do, because I deal with dark entities, dark energies, and things like that, I have to have like heavy duty shields on my house. Most people, they don't. I always tell people, like if you are an empath, especially, like build your shield while you're brushing your teeth in the morning before you walk out of your house. It's good for the whole day and you shouldn't have any issues beyond that. But if you are working like in a hospital or in a situation where people have strong emotions, then you need to shield all day long. Build your shield, build it thick, and have it take you through your day before you get into your car to go home, or however you go home. Like make sure you do that whole cleansing thing before you get anywhere near your house so that you don't take anything home with you. And then by the time you get home, everything's nice and clear, and then you just have to deal with whatever's there, because people unfortunately, who have like these very high stress type jobs, they take that stuff home and then it compounds every day and it gets worse every day. Then before you know it, people are calling me going, I got this thing in my house and I don't know what to do about it. So avoid that by getting rid of stuff before you get anywhere near your house, and then you don't have that issue. But yeah, it's like shielding is like not people don't have to have it on every day. Um, you don't have to have it on all the time, but if you feel like you need one, then build one.
And I was
Don't
saying
put it off.
and I think you can
Go ahead.
start from like where you add shielding for certain things or where you do a full shield and you let in certain things. Like there's just all kinds of ways for building things with different intentions.
Yep.
Right. But if you're an
Yeah.
empath and you're going out in the world, then you probably want to shield yourself. Because everything's energy, and thoughts are energy, and emotions are energy, and physical movement is energy. And so it's normal, it just regular interacting with people that are your friends or people that you're close to, you're exchanging energy. So it's not that people are doing it on purpose, it's just part of how things work. But again, if you're sensitive, you don't want to have that icky feeling on you all the time, you know? So again, if like Kai was saying, if you're going into a difficult situation, have a shield. Um, I just will say ditto because you pretty much nailed it, Kai. So
I say too,
And
when
sometimes
we
too,
can
it's like sorry, it's just about like monitoring the pressure, because like sometimes like my energy, some people perceive my energy as being really really strong. Like I've actually had people tell me like over Zoom calls, they're like, oh my god, your energy's like running me down. And I'm like, sorry, because obviously that's not my intention. And I was like, okay, if that's the case, then put up a shield, because that means that the intensity of my energy is just too much for you, and that's okay. Because yeah, I'm a powerful person, and that's not bragging, it's because of the stuff I do. um but at the same time, some people also say, well, your energy actually brings me a lot of comfort. I actually like your energy because it makes me feel good. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever the case may be, like if it's too much, put up a shield, regardless of whoever it is, whatever their intentions are. I mean,
Mhm.
because I'm not here to hurt anybody, but at the same time, I understand that my energy can be overwhelming for people who are super sensitive. So protect yourself. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
I want to say a couple things. One is it's a combination of shielding and then cleansing. So it's not just shielding, not just cleansing. And then also, like for an empath, one could make a shield that allows like emotions, feelings through just enough so we notice them, like only the ones that are of service. And so we notice them. Like it doesn't mean that we have to block them completely, right? We can let some in. So I just want to like open it for everybody. You can get as creative as you want with what these shields are. It's your intention for what it is that matters. So you got to get creative in what it is that you're designing, and it doesn't quite work great, change it, make something new.
Yeah, I always tell people that, the basic shield is you call white light down from the universe, and the premise is it goes all the way around, like you're inside an egg, like keeps bad stuff out, allows good stuff in. That's pretty much the basics. And then if you want to be a lot more specific about it, you can actually build your shield out of specific types of materials, because everything has a specific energy frequency. You can have, if you're having a like one of the things I taught people is like if you're having like a really bad day and you don't want that energy to kind of leach out into your environment, because of course what you project out is what then comes back to you, right? So if you're having a really horrible day, you put a shield up and you put a drain at the bottom that goes directly to the earth. So anytime like you're like really upset or you're swearing or whatever it is, and you're just having like this really horrible day, that energy actually hits the inside of the shield and slides down and goes down the drain. That way, all the good stuff keeps coming to you and you never project anything bad out for the day.
So like I would make up the artwork that you have behind you. I know that you made it, and the way that it's round and the edge and the difference between what's outside and inside. Like so to me, that's a version of an energetic shield when you're in Zoom.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean that's a physical representation of what a shield would technically be.
And another thing that I learned from Kai was you can put a shield around your cell phone. so that if somebody's calling you, that you have to talk to them, but it blocks their energy so that can't come through your phone. You can put a shield around your door to your house. Um, uh, the one I think is hysterical is well, to me. But anyways, working with a client, before they walk through the door, I put like a sticky fly trap kind of energy there. So when they walk through, it's like anything that's clinging to them stays outside of where I am. And then if they want to pick it up when they walk back out, go ahead. But so you can get really creative with shields. And I like how Kai was saying, like you can pick different materials that you can visualize something and you want to try it on. Everything we're talking about here is tools. And so go ahead and experiment. Go ahead and try them out, see if they work for you or not. That's what all this knowledge exchange is for, is for you to take it home and try it. If it works for you, great. If something doesn't quite resonate, that's okay. Just let it go.
Yeah. And if you want to, I built a audio course on building shields. You can get to it from my website. It's like 9 short lessons, but it teaches you like when to put a shield on, how to put a shield on, what you can build it out of, the circumstances under which you build it, all that kind of stuff. If that's just something you're interested in. But for most people, just a plain white light shield works just fine. And you don't have to get all, complicated about it. I mean, I do because of what I do, but you don't have to necessarily. It just depends on the kind of work that you do and how deep you want to go into different types of things. I can't tell you how many times people come into the fair and they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much energy at this fair. I have a headache. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Let me put a shield on you and see how you feel. So I put a shield on the person and they go, oh my gosh, it's so much quieter. Like literally, like this, the volume goes down. And I'm like, yeah, that is the value of a shield. It's like, especially when you come to a place that has lots and lots of energy, like you have to have a shield on or you're gonna go nuts because your energy system is literally processing everything it feels. Like it's overloaded, and that's why you're getting a headache. So if you put a shield on yourself, you don't have that issue.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
different people's energies have an easier and harder time naturally with different things. So the three of us are people that tend to shield more naturally. And just since you were up here earlier and you all experienced her energy, I'll say Julie, who is up here easier, is someone that's naturally more sensitive. So like I have to put in extra conscious effort to be sensitive, and Julie is someone that might need to put extra energy into shield. So like we all have an easier time with different things.
Yeah. And one thing I would like to add to that is it doesn't mean you don't like the person. It doesn't mean you're doing something bad. It doesn't mean you've cut them off. It doesn't mean anything like that. So if you're like, well, if I shield against, so and so, this, I don't care about them. It's like, no, that's not it at all. So there's no guilt around putting a shield around yourself. It's actually a great form of self-care and self-nurture.
Well,
And
it
no one
just
has
makes, it makes the conversation easier too, because you're not uncomfortable while you're trying to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's better overall for for the situation, period.
Yeah,
I'm just saying no one has the right to do anything with our energy that we don't want them to.
correct. But that also comes to awareness and practice so we can be aware that it's actually happening. And in particular, since there's so many empaths in the audience, yeah, a shield will make your life potentially a lot more pleasant.
All right. Well, let's see. Mandy, did you want to still come up or do you just want to ask a question? What do you want to?
So many, yeah. I'm so glad I hopped on here. This is all just
Can
so
I
many
bring you
things you
up?
guys have been talking.
I can
Sure,
bring you up here.
yeah.
Okay, great. All right.
And this is the shield thing has been spot on. And I was curious specifically, Kai, you said something about your home. You don't have to worry about that because you just have permanent shields. Is that correct?
Well,
Like
they're
you,
not permanent, but
okay.
they're stronger and they're multi-layered.
Can you explain that a bit more and how I might? I'm still trying to wrap my head around like the shield being myself, and that makes sense too because when you talked about opening up, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense because everything got stuck in my throat chakra my whole life since I was 4, and the people around me started to just silence my intuition because it sounded crazy to them or scary, and for a variety of reasons I was silenced. And so when you said open it up, then I'm like, wait a minute, what if it's not mine? And so this is kind of twofold, but with the the house thing is, I'll focus on that one. How would I build? Because I feel like I need that in the region that I live in. I'm in a densely populated area, very contentious East Coast, Mason-Dixon line near DC, all the things.
Yeah.
I'll never
Yeah.
forget the first time I got off the plane at SeaTac. I was like, I feel better here. It's lighter. It's so much. And I ended up back on the East Coast after a while. I ended up moving to Seattle, and then I'm back here, and the energy is just so much. But if I could just kind of keep it around my home. Do you guys have suggestions on ways to build more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, and I just want to clarify for Kai and Crystal, this is the
Oh,
general
general.
question. General
Yes,
right.
question.
Yeah.
All right.
So what I would do, what I always tell people to do is before you put up a shield on your house, you need to clear your house. That's the first thing, right? Because if you put a shield up first, what will happen is whatever's there will get trapped inside.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Well,
'Cause
I
whatever it
smudge every
is,
2 weeks. But what about the yard? Like, how do you clear your outdoor
well,
areas?
it's like a shield can go, it's not just the building. You can actually go all the way to the property lines. Whatever is technically yours, you can cover. I mean, even if you're in an apartment, you can like okay, so for instance, if I'm clearing an apartment, right, or a condo or something, I build a shield that not only encompasses the actual thing that I am in control of, that is technically mine, right? Mine. I actually go a foot beyond that because that's kind of like metaphysical place space, so to speak. Because like it's almost like there's like a foot on each side of the wall that people can kind of vacillate their energy, and that's what kind of allows everything to flow together as an entity. So what I'll do is I will extend the shield out probably about a foot outside the actual boundaries, and within that boundary I will clear that space out. And so what I do is first is I build a shield to keep everything in because I want everything trapped. Because what happens is when you clear a house, things pick up and they go next door. And then when you drop your shield, they come back. So I put the shield up, I clear out the space, I send all that energy to source, and then I will build the real shield that I'm gonna put up over the property. And then I call now that the internal space is clear, I call in a lot of good energy to fill up that space to the very top. And that makes it impossible for negative entities to come in because there's no space for them. Like once you fill it with really good energy, it's like it creates an inhospitable environment for negativity to live there.
Mhm.
And then what I'll do is I will create another shield depending upon what I want it out of. So it could be white light. Like in my case, I actually have different layers of protection because of, like I said, who I am and what I do. And I've worked with my ancestors to help me build certain ones out of certain frequencies of energies. So, everybody's a little different. And then Crystal likes to remind me, because I keep forgetting, that the house itself is, if you ask the house itself to protect you, that it will be willing to do that.
Okay. Wow.
Houses are built with intent, right? They want to be occupied. They want someone to live in there. They want to be not worshipped per se, but celebrated. They want the connection. And any place that I ever go, I make a covenant with the house or place that I'm living in, and also the land around it. And that helps as well. And it also lets me get information from the land as well, like how's it been treated before? You can cleanse the property as well as your home. And I like Kai's thing about a multi-layer. Yeah. You could shield your car when you go out someplace. Put a shield around your car for protection so no one messes with your car.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like I've told people, like, you can shield your desk at work, you can shield your computer, you can shield whatever you want to. You can shield your kids if you've
Yeah.
got them. You know, so
Yeah.
you can't shield another adult because you need their consent for that. But I mean, but if you've got kids or you've got pets, you can shield them too.
And okay.
Gives you a lot to think about, huh?
Yeah, like some of these things are so, I feel like I've been doing parts of it, but like you guys make such good points about, Crystal, when you said that homes want to be occupied and loved, I've been a bit resentful about this home because I have struggled with the energy of it for so many years and it's not helping. I need to, because I was this close to moving and then things, I feel like the politics here, things are just moving too quickly. I need to stay put for right now. And so in that case, I have decided I'm going to love my yard and I need to start loving. It's such a good point. And then building the shield before you clear. I didn't think about that, like trapping it in and then clearing.
Just to hold it in, and then once it's clear, like that outer thing goes with whatever you're clearing, and then you build a brand new shield, fill it with good energy, love, light, all that good stuff. Fill it up to the very top, and it's like I said, like a foot all the way around. So if you've got a house, all the way up to the very top, beneath the house if it's on land, all the way out to the property lines, and then some. If you've got water running behind your house, I would actually go speak to the water source, the river, the canal, whatever, and be like, hey, can you help me by making sure that whatever comes at me just keeps going and just sweep it down river? You could do that too.
And most people don't think about it, but you want to cleanse your new house before you move into it.
That was my mistake number one.
Yeah. And then you can also call back your energy from any place where you've lived or worked or whatever. And you can send any energy back to wherever those places are as well. So you can make everything a lot cleaner. The person who had this house, your place before you, was not a very happy person.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, when you call back your own energy, because I do this when I do aura clearings, is make sure that you kind of like pass that energy through like a cleansing wash before you bring it back, because you don't want it to come back with remnants of somebody else's stuff.
Yeah.
Like that sticky fly trap paper.
Yeah. Yeah. When your kids come home from school, when they walk through the front door, and be like, let them, all that gunk just gets stuck on the outside. It doesn't come in the house. I mean, that's if you've done a shield too, but I think doors and windows, especially doors, get more movement. So that might be a place where you would maybe focus some more attention on. But
yes, like I do that I just shield the entire house, and I just like, so basically like however it comes in, because like negativity doesn't always come in through the doors, it comes in through the walls. Having seen things walk through the walls, I actually just do the whole property, the whole everything, so that
I had it come in through my sewer pipes.
Yeah.
And in my basement.
Yes.
Yeah. See, so that's why I just do everything. And like, so if somebody comes in and they've got something with them, like it literally, like I create like these little pockets on the outside. So like they come through the screen, they get screened out, and the thing sits in a pocket. And then when they leave, it goes with them. That's how I do it. Unless the person says, hey, I know I have something attached to me, can you remove it? And then I'll remove it, and that's a different story. But if it's somebody who doesn't do this kind of work, doesn't understand it, but I still don't want that stuff anywhere near me. So yeah, I just put everything in pockets, and you can take your things when you go.
And when you are getting ready to set a shield like Kais talked about, and you want to capture stuff in your house, don't forget to open closets and cupboards, that kind of thing. Anything where energy hasn't moved for quite some time.
Yeah, especially closets. It's always the closet. Trust me.
Yeah.
Always the closet.
Any kind of hidden storage, anything.
Yeah. And whose stuff is in there? Are you storing stuff for other people and maybe you don't like them so much, or you're just doing it out of whatever? You might want to clear their stuff off too before you bring it in your house.
Yeah, or like sometimes like if you have other people's stuff and you can't get rid of it or whatever, then that's one of those things where I will put a shield over the stuff to just seal it so that that energy is contained.
Mhm. Yeah. A friend of mine, their partner, he had a book that his grandfather had, and it was just full of really weird stuff. And I said, put it in a box of salt. I mean, because he didn't want to necessarily get rid of it. Just put it in a big box of like rock salt, kosher salt. And yeah,
I
that'll
like
help
the
as well.
physical there. I like the physical salt there. That's a good.
Yeah.
And there are things like one could just put things around corners or things like that too.
Yeah, it's like you can do that with salt, you can do that with stones. You can actually create sentinels, which is like you have like either like a figurine or a candle, and you can ask them if they will help you protect your home. And then you can ask it, okay, where would you like to go? And sometimes it's like, I want to be on this windowsill over here. Or it's like, okay, I want to be next to the door, that kind of thing. So you can use, yeah, you can use sentinels for things like that as well. And the thing about sentinels is if they break, that means they have done their job and you need to get another one. Don't try to repair things.
Yeah. And even if it seems weird, like somebody just knocked it over or whatever, it still doesn't matter.
Yeah, that means its job is done.
Yeah.
Kai, the second time you were describing the temporary shield that you make in the beginning when you're clearing, my mind went to imagining some huge like baseball mitt in the corner where everything was going.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's like for me, it just looks like it's kind of like this. I don't know. It's kind of weird the way I look at it. It almost looks to me like this big hole in the sky. So I literally just take everything and just chuck it in there, and then it kind of disappears. So, but everybody has different, you know, perceptions of how they view things or whatever. But that's just how.
I've got one of those suck tubes like you see when they in the stores where they put the tubes in with the money and just sucks it right up the thing. That's
Yeah, I use those too sometimes.
yeah, that's more fun.
Siphon.
Well, I
Yeah,
use
we'll
those like
siphon.
for precise work. Like if I'm trying to get something particular like out of the brain or something, I'm just like with a little like a little vacuum. Yeah, that's you know, that's just my imagery. I'm like, and that's the thing, you know, however you can make it work, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how silly it is or how ridiculous it is. Like just make it work.
Yeah,
I
this has
part of what
been
occurs to
great.
me too, just
I,
about
I was just going to say thank you everybody for asking questions and stuff because, well, this is what our third one. The first couple ones, people really just kind of didn't say much, and that's okay. But this is what we're looking for. So thank you.
I say part of what's embedded to me, integrated into the shielding question, is that we have to know that we, our house, our kids, whatever it is we're shielding, that we're worthy of being shielded. If we believe that we're not, then we design it with cracks. We design to not take everything out, you know, when we cleanse. Like, so it's all like knowing our value. And it's okay, you have to do it multiple times, right? It's you're deepening and knowing your value each time. So it gets better and better.
Yeah, the big thing about when you create a shield, especially one that you create on yourself, make sure you get the back. There's always, almost always, when someone comes up to me and goes, I've been practicing my shields, and can you test it to see if it's good? And then I'm like, poke, poke in the back, and they go, oh, I feel that. I'm like, yeah, because there's a hole. Like, do not forget the back. It has
Yeah.
to be all the way around, like you're inside an egg, all the way around. No
Yeah.
cracks, no dents, no divots, completely smooth.
Not the gown in the
That's
hospital with the
the
slit in the back.
exactly. Yeah, it's like it doesn't work. It happens every time, and it's almost always in the back near the neck. I'm like, because that's the first place I check every time. I'm like, pink, pink, and they're like, oh, dang it.
Then Maggie just shared in the chat too. Her lights have flickered twice during this conversation in particular. So your house is giving you signals. Things are not wanting to
Yeah.
get taken out.
It's just, yeah, this
Yeah.
right at the beginning and then just now. I think you were talking both times, Kai, but yeah.
Yeah, usually when that happens, when your lights start flickering while you're having these types of conversations, that usually means that there's something in your house that needs to be cleared out.
Yep.
Although it could be, I have a friend who messes with my lights. She passed away during the pandemic, and she messes with my lights because she's the one who told me that's how there's communication. And so it could just be like, yep, light bulb going off when Kai's talking, like pay attention, pay attention.
Confirmation.
Well, it
Yeah.
could be, but it also depends upon like how does that make you feel? You know what I mean? Because that's really the telltale sign of whether it's good or not so good. So if that happens, like because sometimes things flicker in my house, I'm like, all right, get out of here. I'm not doing this. Get out. Even though for me, I can see that it's just like a little tiny spirit, like a little fairy that's just like ha 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 ha, like they're just playing, right? I'm just like, get out. I do not want you playing with my lights. Get out. Like I know you were just having fun and it's not a big deal, but get out. You know, so it really depends on how you feel. So if like for instance, like you said, your friend had passed away and like you see the lights flicker and you feel like good about it, that means it's a good presence. Like someone's come to visit you. But if your lights are flickering and you know you have that feeling, that's not good.
No, I felt
Well,
like
that's
it was like snapping, you know, it was like emphasis on what you were
Yeah.
talking about. Like
Mhm.
listen up.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that's okay. That's really what it is. But essentially something is in your house. In this case, it's something good. So yeah, so that's really what it is. That's how you gauge stuff like that. So when you start seeing flickering lights and things like that, yeah, I'm just always like, what? What are you doing? What do you want? Yeah. Yeah, because I don't have negative stuff that play in my house.
I would imagine not.
But
You
I
prob-
do have, yeah, sometimes like, and that's the thing, like with shields, you can say, I mean, for my shields, I say like, you know, if you're not here to cause any harm, you can come in here. I'm okay with that, you know?
So what do you
And so
what do
that's
you
why I get these little mischievous things that come in play sometimes.
let's see, Mandy, I'm gonna go ahead and take you off. But do you have more you want to say about this? Go ahead. And so Kai,
No,
to
I actually
quickly,
sorry.
go
I
ahead,
was going to
Mandy.
say there's something I had a question for Maggie about something she mentioned earlier, but I want to say we can come back to that later. It just pinged with children.
Okay, feel free to write in the chat,
Yeah.
and like if it's general, we can talk about it generally too. I say, well, Kai, so what do you do when you go to a fair, for example, right? So you're going to a fair in a hotel, right? Lots of space, lots of things going on around you. So you're right, just set up for tons of things. You're next to some practitioners that you like and you want to be connected with. In this hotel recently, you have a waterfall behind you, and like some of the patrons of the hotel are walking even behind that. Like there's just so much going on. So how do you go about
Mhm.
setting up shield at the fair and like what different like openings and things and yeah, so anything you want to say about that?
Well,
And Crystal, you can answer
yeah,
too.
well, for me, when I you know, once I set up my table, because like, you know, we have our designated space, right? Whatever that is. And so I do most of the time, like I'll set up like a general shield that kind of like encourages people to stop by, to ask questions, that kind of thing. The water feature doesn't bother me. It's quite funny though, because the last time that I was there, I was kind of in the middle of where the fountain was. And like this last time I was at the end, but in the middle, I'd be like talking about something or looking at something, and then the fountain behind me would go like bloop bloop, and I'm like, yeah, no comments, you know, that kind of thing. But so occasionally, like the water will join the conversation because it has energy, it has its own consciousness in a way. So yeah, every once in a while, you know, I'd be sitting there thinking about something, and it would be like bloop 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 bloop. I'm like, yeah. Um, but I set up a shield for people to come. And then if I'm gonna do like serious energy work, so for instance, like if I'm gonna clear somebody's aura or I'm gonna remove an entity, I put up like a very strong shield to make sure it doesn't interfere with anybody else that's in the area. And also so that no one on the outside can interfere with the work. So it's a two-sided thing. And then I do what needs to be done. I protect the person. Usually, if I do energy work on somebody, I put a shield on them before they leave the table, just so it helps their energy stabilize. Because I do like this very intense work in a short amount of time, and most people's energy system is like, whoa, by the time I'm done. So I put a shield on them to help them stabilize, and then they get up and they walk away, and they're good for the rest of the day.
Can you say a little bit
So
more
that's
about what you
normally what
mean
I do
by
about shielding my table.
you set up a shield for people to come in. That's a little
Yeah.
different than what you're
Well,
doing.
because what happens is like I have a shield on my table to make sure that I don't get errant stuff, right? But part of the intention in building it is to encourage people to come to me and ask questions because of the fact that when I'm at the fair, my energy is on, right? Because I'm revved up, I'm ready to work. And so sometimes what happens is people get intimidated. Like literally people like veer away from my table because there's so much energy happening at my table. So what I do is I create this with the shield, an energy environment that encourages people not to be afraid and to step forward and to come ask me questions, to come, hire me to do whatever they want to do, or just say hello kind of
Is it
stuff.
kind of almost like you do a
Um,
little bit of a dimmer on some of your energy and you do an attraction thing on the outside, or like,
I don't dim my energy when I'm at a fair because I need to
Mhm.
be at full
I meant the
status when I'm there.
outside flowing out, like it's
Yeah.
full in,
Well,
or
no,
it's
it's
like
like the shield kind of contains that to a certain degree, I guess you could say. And then on the outside, there's like this energy like, hey, don't be afraid, come on in, it's good. Um, safe space. And that's really what it is because people sometimes feel my energy and they are intimidated by it, or they like, oh my God, it's that whole like predator prey type energy thing that people can trigger sometimes. And I'm just like, yeah, you just come forward. I'm not going to eat you. It's all good. And and then people, and the opposite happens too. Like sometimes, I've literally had people like walk in the front door. This happened in Portland. Walked in the front door. She's like, I've never been to a fair before, but I had to, you were the first person. I have to see you. I'm like, okay. Like she walked past all these other people, like beelined it straight to my table. She goes, I don't know anything about you. I don't know who you are, but I feel like I need to be here
And just for
with
those of you
you.
watching the video,
I'm
Kai
like,
does not live in Portland, so Kai was out of town and someone goes right into her. It's not like they know you already.
yeah, no, and that was the first time I was actually in Portland. I had never been to Portland before as in a fair. And I literally watched her walk in, she paid and walked straight to me. I was like, okay, this is weird. So sometimes that happens. Like people are directly either attracted to my energy or they're repelled by my energy. It depends on how their energy system perceives my energy. So I don't have to do it, but I think it just makes things more comfortable
Maybe I'll say the
because it
devil
helps
question too
people that are next to me too.
about shielding one's house. It's shifting the energy of the neighborhood to some extent, so it may shift
Yes.
some other things.
Yeah, it can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah. When I used to go to that Friday night meditation group class that I talked about, Saturday morning I'd be outside and the neighbors across the street just had their music up cranked so loud you could probably hear it on the space station. And so the next time I went back to class, I talked about that, and Katumi said, the vibration you're bringing home from doing the energy work that we do here, you're bringing it into your neighborhood, and that is their way of dispersing that energy because it's too much for them and they've got to get rid of it. And so that's what they're doing. And so after that, it's like, I didn't let it bother me anymore. It just was what it was. But yeah, when you do an energy shift or you bring a big energy, it impacts everything around you. I was going to talk about what I do at fairs, but I don't want to stop you, Kai, if you've got more that you want to add to that.
Okay.
I also shield my space. I also look at all of the whole thing, and I call in Archangel Michael and my spirit team and ask them to bless this venue as much as possible to keep negative energy from coming in. And then I have a litany that I kind of say, which is, I place this entire day into the light. Let all involved with this day have access to this light to use as they see fit in accord with divine order and honoring the evolutionary path of all concerned for the highest good. So basically, I'm kind of handing it off to the powers that be, as well as taking care of my side of the street. And we've talked on the side before, Kai and I, we and another practitioner, we do find big energy that wants to come in and mess around with the fair. And we've pushed it out. and recently created, what now?
I was like,
Yeah,
it's like,
the Kai came up with the idea of, because we looked at MIWI Fair and what's going on around it. And so we saw this energy. And so we're like, yeah, there's something big here. Wants to stop the MIWI Fair and stuff like that because it doesn't like what it's doing, because we're changing the energy, we're healing people, we're helping. And so it's like, no, 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 we can't have that. And it's like, yeah, well, okay. So Kai came up with this idea about creating a siphon. So when that negative energy wants to come down, it trips the siphon and it just gets funneled right down into the earth. And so it's kind of like every time you walk through the door, you're going on the slip and slide and you're just getting zipped out before you can even walk into where you want to be. And so this energy was just like, okay, I'm going to back it way up because I'm not having an impact on this right now because of what's been set up around here. So yeah,
and the reason why we did it is we want to, I mean, I think all of us appreciate the MIWI fairs and what you have done, Lorelai, and to increase the chances of us coming together, building our community, helping people just find their place. That's been kind of like a big thing with me recently, is like I keep hearing like people just need to find their place wherever that happens to be. Some of us are given big energy assignments, and other people are just like, just do what you can in wherever you happen to be. We're not all the same, and we aren't all given the same thing, but we all are important in our way, and we need to just take our place. And with external energy as well as internal energy affecting the whole MIWI organization, it's impeding the mission to do that. And so for me, it was like, I'll just take the 10 minutes that it'll cost me to do this, create this thing that will stay with the program for however long it's necessary in order to help this organization and help the community to thrive. I mean, because I won't be a part of it forever, but I want it to continue for as long as it can to help whoever it is, to help the next generation, whoever that happens to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. We were all nice and busy this last weekend. The
Yes,
energy's
it's good.
moving so much. I was so busy on Sunday, I didn't even have a chance to walk around and, see and feel what was going on. Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal and I were so busy we didn't even get to talk to each other.
I know.
We're just like, what?
Every time I wanted to go, so Kai, oh, you got a client. Same thing for Kai. She'd want to lean over because her client left, and all of a sudden I got a client sitting there, and it's like, so we didn't really even do much talking at all until Sunday evening after everything was shut down. Then we hung around for like a half an hour, and we asked to make sure that the guy that was cleaning everything up, are we in your way? He goes, no, 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 it's all good, because we didn't want to get in anybody's way of trying to shut everything down. Yeah.
Lorelai, the video that you did, I was teaching on Friday, and the video walkthrough at the beginning was incredible. I was like, what I would give to be over there right now. And it really, I think it's good. That was just really helpful. So people who see that are like, wow, this is, yeah, I thought it was a great video.
Yes.
It's great.
I don't know
Yeah,
if you always do them, but
I haven't. I've only done it once before. So yeah, thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just Julie asked too, should we do something with our energy after an event like today or a fair before we go back to our family?
Yeah, energy cleanse.
Or if we want to, I could do a group energy clearing if you guys are interested.
I am.
Raise your hand if you're interested. Okay. All right. So if anybody, if you don't want to, you don't have to. This is totally optional. This is not anything that's forced on you. But I am going to go ahead and start the aura cleanse on everybody. So yeah, whoever is sensitive, you will probably feel it. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to blast off everything that's not yours, and I'm going to call back what is yours. And then, I'm going to stabilize everybody, and then we'll see how everybody feels afterwards. Okay? Shouldn't take very long. So here we go. Okay, all done.
Thank you.
So who felt that? Okay, and it's okay if you didn't. That's just me being curious. Sometimes people go like, I didn't feel it. Oh my gosh. I'm like, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that you didn't feel it. It's okay. So at this point, you are completely clear, so you don't have to worry about anything for the time being.
And there's nothing
So
specific to do to integrate the learnings from today, just trusting that they're integrating, right? That we're
Yeah.
taking in what we need to take in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Kai, I noticed that in my ears again, which was the same experience I had when I met with you at the MeWe Fair. Was felt like my ears cleared open, like coming up from underwater or something. And I was like, oh, there it is again. Yeah.
That's good. That just means your energy is clearing, and that's just letting you know that that's how you can tell when energy is clearing. That's one of your kind of like your clues for that. So,
Thank you.
All
any
right,
other
so
questions, comments?
yeah, any last bit before we complete? I know we don't have a date for next month, but I know a date
That was
we
my
could
question.
be. But do we are you both free, for example, on like Sunday the 23rd?
Of March?
Yeah. We do the 23rd again?
I'm free.
Me too.
All right then. So it sounds like Sunday, March 23 from the same time, 4 to 6 p.m.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, and so we'll be doing this again then. So again, if you have questions, you can submit questions ahead of time. We are open to what that will look like. And we could hang on for a few more minutes here if anyone has any last bit general questions you want us to address. Yeah, you are very welcome. Thank you so much for coming and for participating and asking all these questions. It's been great today.
Yeah, today was a
anything else?
good one. You guys
Yeah,
came
it
up with
was.
Kai, we want
really
to mention.
good stuff. So thank you for that.
Yes. Oops.
Thank you. Thank you. So great to see you each.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
I have a question about in terms of like gratitude for your homes and your spaces. Do you have suggestions on how to maybe love your soil if you're starting a garden, or like how to maybe show the outdoor spaces
Mm.
how to love them so that they will love you back and produce.
Yeah, it's like like everything that you do, like your tools, be like, I love my tools. My tools are awesome. Like, oh my gosh, look at the dirt. You know what I mean? Like everything that goes into it, like, oh my gosh, these are amazing seeds. I'm gonna get like amazing food out of it. Like everything that touches the whole thing, and and be like, oh, thank you, sun, for, and hey, thanks, rain, all that kind of stuff,
Right.
so that that all goes into the growing process, and gratitude for all that stuff.
Also,
I'm having
Lorelai,
like a
what is on your roof?
hailstorm right now. I'm having like a
Oh,
hailstorm right
okay.
now.
Oh,
Oh my
wow.
gosh, it is so
Last
loud.
when we did this last month, there was an animal on your roof at the
Oh,
very
that's
end. Do
right.
you
Oh
remember?
goodness, I
Yeah.
do.
So I was like, what is this?
No, I'm
Now it's
having a
hail this
storm
month.
now. And it's like I can see still it's a little bit clear and I can see the clouds and some sky through and like nothing is moving. It's not windy. It's crazy, but okay, finally it's quieting, but sorry, it was very, very loud.
One
Oh,
other thing you
yeah.
can do too when you go to like you said, you want to show gratitude and stuff, is talk to the earth and say, okay, this is what I'd like to do here. I want to plant vegetables or flowers or a tree. Is there anything that I need to know? Will that work with you? Is this the best spot? And see what you get back. You can also bury crystals and other stones in the soil as well.
I was thinking about putting crystals around the corners, around the edges of things, and
Yeah. And as much as you can, stay organic, stay away from pesticides or
I gotta talk to my neighbor because
yeah.
I don't touch them, but
yeah, it's harder
the
when you
ground's
live
connected.
close
Yeah.
to other
Well, I
people.
mean, do the best you can. And honestly, like when you start pulling stuff out, like you bless your food, and that will help to kind of mitigate some of that as well. Because I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes it's not, we can't help that.
And I don't remember what they're called. it's like an yellow orange petaled flower that actually pulls heavy metals out of the ground and stuff like that. So you can plant other things that help cleanse while you're growing. Oh,
Hemp and cannabis is a really good cleanser for that too, if it's legal to grow.
Yeah, there's lots of plants that are good for cleaning the soil or fixing nitrogen into the soil. Just depends on your soil. Yeah, have a conversation. And there's little beings that do that. There's little divas, there's the little pixies and other stuff. There's little elementals.
Yep, fairies.
Yeah, you can just invite them in and say, I'm making this place. I appreciate what you do. So if there's anything else that would help, see if you can get some information about that.
Okay. My kiddo actually talks to the fairies in the yard, and I thought she was just being imaginative, but I'm gonna seek her wisdom because I think she knows all about my yard.
Yeah. I mean, we
I was
get
like, oh,
really
that's cute.
caught up in what we want to do to the property. Like, I'm gonna, tear this up and put this in here because this is what I want, and not be what the land wants.
Yeah.
So as much as we can stay in harmony with our surrounding environment, that just keeps the good vibes going, and it also keeps the negative energy from being able to land. Yeah.
Awesome.
great.
Thanks, Jill.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Deeply appreciate it. Sounds like we're going to be here again a month from now on March 23. And yeah, thanks again for all your questions and your care and your energy and dancing with all of us and growing and learning with all of us. You can find out more about our events and maybe Kai and Crystal, we should just check out in terms of the video. You can find out more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com and miwifairs.com and all of the events along there too. And then Kai and Crystal, say again your contact info and how people can reach you in the video.
Okay, so I'm in the process of moving and recreating and working on my website and my email. So my website is currently at openheartpathllc.com. You can also reach me by Gmail at that same thing, openheartpathllc@gmail.com. My new email address, which I'm going to be switching over to, is crystal@iknowstuff.me. And my new website is going to be iknowstuff.me. So some of you I have on an email list, and you'll be getting stuff email-wise about that and other events and things like that. But that's where that's at. So one way or another, you'll get a hold of me if that's what you want to do. So thank you.
Great to have those both here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so for me, like the easiest way to kind of get to me is through my website, which is handsonfire.buzz. And yeah, because it has my email, it has my phone number on there, and it has lots and lots of articles about the kind of stuff that we talk about. So if you want to check out a lot of stuff, I've recorded a few of those things. So if you actually want to hear my voice again, you can. But I have lots of articles on lots of different things, like how to develop gifts and things to watch out for, and how to pick a mentor, and all that kind of stuff is on there. So yeah, check out the articles that I've written on there. There's like, I don't know, I've been writing that stuff for at least 3 years now. So there's a bunch of articles on there for, different types of information that you might find useful. So feel free.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Let's get the video off.